Buford, is Jason in with you?
Nope. Let me mute and track him down real quick and make sure he's on board.
Okay.
I'm going to mute and be right back.
All right, while Buford's checking that, I think we got enough to get started. We'll let anyone in as we can. Just a couple of notes before we get started on the agenda items. I think initial agenda had Overland PUD. It is going to be moved to February, so we will not discuss that one. We're going to have to, we've got a kind of a drop dead deadline for this one. We've got to be out of the building, and for anyone that might have been planning to come up to the building at around lunchtime, please don't. We will be closed from 11 to 12, and we will try to move through the agenda pretty quick so we can be done by 11. With that said, Buford's got the first item, so we'll wait till he gets back. Is anyone here to discuss the verandas? The second item on the agenda. I know we just got plans today. This is a carryover. So we probably...
Yeah, Hunter, I'm here. Justin Britt with Dewberry if you need me for something.
Okay. All right. Well, we just got plans on that one today, so we probably won't get into that too much. But
I was under the impression that was going into next month. Is it on this month's?
It is on the January agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry. We are on January. All right, good deal.
Yeah. And hey, Justin, this is Buford. And hey, everyone, I'm back. And Jason is going to join us here in just a moment. Justin, just a quick thing for you here is that carryovers, so you're aware of this, carryover projects can be a little tricky. So it's real simple. The pressure is on me now to re-review everything and then determine whether or not we can write a staff report. If we can write a staff report, then it'll be on the January agenda. But I've got to re-review everything first. So,
gotcha. Hopefully I made that one easy for you.
All right. Thank you, Justin. Very good. And Casey sent me the information this morning. I'll get to it as quick as I can.
All right. Thanks, man.
Okay. Quick note for the Stormwater Management Program plan. If anybody has any comments, please send those to Kim or Christina in-house for review. And then we'll jump right into the SD 20.43. Buford, take it away.
Okay, everyone. So this is, I've got multiple screens here. So this would be
Laurelbrook.
Okay, so y'all bear with me here, trying to juggle multiple screens, and Jason just walked in, and so everyone, I've had to take over Laurelbrook, and I sent Justin, and I don't know who else is here with Dewberry. I sent out my review checklists this morning. I still have to write a cover letter for all of that, which I will do later on today, so you have a complete package. I guess I'll turn it over to y'all if you've had a chance to kind of go through the checklist and see if anything stands out. It's a lot of routine comments. I'll turn it back over to y'all, and then we'll take it from there. And then I'll give me just a moment. And I'll pull up the drawings.
Sure, I've glanced through it just very quickly, Buford. There's nothing in it that pops out that I don't think I can fix. I know there's going to be an issue that we need to discuss with the lake and what you're going to allow me to do there. And
Hunter may jump in here and help me with this. Justin, we've got a bit of a possible conflict with what the village subdivision requirement has, but understand the decision maker on a village subdivision is ultimately the planning commission. So we'll work through it and make certain we've got a product for the planning commission meeting, and kind of let them make the decision on that. And Hunter, jump in if I said that wrong.
Yeah, and forgive us. We just talked about this 5 minutes before the meeting, but we won't get in the way if the lake size changes. That's a decision of the planning commission. It kind of is a cart before the horse, but as long as we don't have a long list of conditions, we don't have a problem moving forward with a preliminary plat. They're going to see the lake size, and basically the condition of approval can be the village subdivision is amended, and that might have to happen in February. What I would recommend is go ahead and showing and I don't know if this is with your intent, if the lake size is going to be reduced, go ahead and have a copy of just the one sheet from the village plan that shows that size difference. And that's an easy review for planning commission. I don't know what they're the decision makers, so they may approve that, or they may tell you no, make the lake bigger. But that's not our point to make that decision. We just want to make sure what you're showing is seen by them, so they can make that call. So,
understand.
No problem on that. The way you are heading, if I understand right.
Yeah, Hunter, that's correct, and I completely concur right there. Justin, the only technical thing I wanted to talk about, and it may not have jumped out when you glanced through it, is the way the subdivision regulations are written is that it's centered around discharging drainage into a public conveyance system, which we all know is not always possible, and that many times you discharge into an existing natural conveyance system. You've got kind of a hybrid here, because the way I'm looking at the site is that the point of discharge would be to what is not a natural conveyance system, but it eventually picks up a natural conveyance system. And we know the numbers post and pre and post and all that sort of thing are designed correctly. Obviously you don't need me to tell you that. I think what I would feel better about, knowing what type of development this is and knowing that it's discharging to an adjacent piece of private property that's not part of the development, is instead of having a point source of discharge, that you have a level spreader. I'm a huge fan of the one at the retreat at Fairhope Village, so that's something to contemplate in my notes, and I've got detailed review comments in there about that.
Sure, I'll look into it.
Hey, Buford.
Yes, sir.
This is John Avent. This is nothing unusual whatsoever about discharging this. It would be no matter if you put a level spreader or have a pipe, you're still going to have the same discharge, and it's still going to the adjacent property, and it's impossible to go to a public drainage system because that's not where the normal drainage is going. I don't see where a level spreader is going to make any difference whatsoever. I'm not saying we won't do that. I'm just saying that you're still going to have the same discharge, the same volume of water, cubic feet per second. So I don't understand what benefit that's going to do.
And Buford, I kind of agree with John there. We're naturally channelizing there anyway, so if I spread it out, we're just going to channelize back down onto the existing. And I've looked at what that does down past us, and I'm greatly reducing from what's going there down now and affecting the timing of it. So I don't I don't see that there's going to be any issues. I could put a level spreader in if we had to, but it's just going to channelize right back and not help as much.
And gentlemen, this is me trying to look out for, not only look out for citizens, but also look out for the developer. All of the development entities and that sort of thing, is that all of that information right there is the kind of stuff that's very beneficial to have in a drainage narrative, because you never know who in the future may look at that drainage narrative. So, those are our comments. We'll turn it over to y'all to respond. Development is development. who may be looking at that drainage narrative in the future by what type of means, you know.
I
So the
understand.
more data you have in there to support your design makes it easier to defend.
Let me ask the question, Justin, and I want to bring this completely full circle. Did you conform to the city of Fairhope's drainage regulations?
Yes, absolutely.
And are you impacting the drainage system downstream?
What,
Are we going to have any impact downstream?
not negatively, no.
All right. Do me a favor, like Buford says, let's outline that we are conforming to the regulation. Let's outline.
And we have, I'm pretty
somewhat
sure the
detailed.
drainage report says that, but I will
Yeah.
reiterate it and make sure.
It's just whatever Buford needs. I see what he's saying, but you know, changing the drainage design when the end result is going to be exactly the same, I just don't see that. Now, being honest with you, Buford, you know, this throwing out a method where professional engineers are feeling comfortable about their drainage and they certify and stand behind it. That's what we need here.
Hey, John, well said, and thank you for that. Like I was saying earlier, you know, and we don't have to go on ad nauseum. It's just that the subdivision regulations want a more explicit statement of all of that, and so having that in the drainage narrative and having that in the operating record of this review is extremely beneficial. You never know when you might need that in the future. So thank you all for all of that.
All right, we'll do it.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I think that's all I've got. Justin, happy to try to answer any other questions. And like I said, both Justin and also Al, if you're on, and in case if you're aboard, look for a cover letter for all of this later on today.
Okay, perfect.
And one other thing, Hunter, are you still on?
Yes, sir.
And then again, this was the lake size. I know it changed from the village concept, and then again, the problem we run it into when you have a concept and pretty landscape architecture drawings and everything. Once you get into the actual design of it, you know, the conditions change, and that's what I think we need to convey to the Planning Commission why we did this. And another thing we're trying to outline was that there is a huge oak tree out there. You know, that was where we wanted to put our tree house, but that wasn't the only reason. We don't want to move that tree. This thing is huge.
Yeah.
So Justin had to design all the way around that with, you know, normal flow to high water, and there was a lot of conditions that really changed the shape and size of this thing. I just wanted to explain that a little bit better.
Yeah. And we don't have, you know, there wasn't anything malicious in that, and I'll say it again, Buford and I have been here about 60 hours already this week, and we've done as best we can to get you good information, and then get there is so we don't have a roadblock, and we don't have a problem with that changing, but ultimately that's the Planning Commission's decision. But I think y'all have done a good job. Buford, were you clear, and Buford reviewed this one, so I know we talked about a lot of things. Were you clear where the water level will be? Or was that something you were going to ask Justin? Is that in your comments?
Basically, yeah. Basically, that's basically in the review comments. Is that and again, y'all, I've had to try to do this very, very quickly, and I've tried to do this very quickly, so my comments may not be worded extremely well, but something, Justin, that would be beneficial for us to know is that, of course, you know, when you're doing all your drainage work, you know, you give us the 2 through 100-year storm events and at what elevation the pond will be at each of those storm events, and that's very, very, very beneficial.
You want to see acreage?
I'm sorry?
You want to see acreage?
So, yeah, if you can tell us the surface
what would make it less
acreage.
confusing. Buford, if we could just outline the normal water elevation in the 100 years, I think that'd be less confusing of showing every stage on this thing.
Right, John. That would be more legible to some of us that don't understand what Buford's talking about.
Exactly. If we have normal water and design high water, Justin, and that's what I requested from Jason the other day as well. I like to see it, you know, but anyhow, if we can have some kind of depiction of that, would be great.
Yeah. In steady state conditions, what would be the acreage of the surface water of the pond? That would be very beneficial.
Gotcha, no problem.
All right. I want to give any other directors or departments have any comments on Laurel Brook. I think we've all worked. I think most of you have worked through issues on that, but just want to give you an opportunity in the DRC.
And Hunter and Justin, and also just one more very, very quick technical comment. So Justin, some of the review comments got really in the weeds from a water and sewer standpoint on saddles and valves and fittings and that kind of thing. What I'm going to give you is the current, latest, and greatest version of standard specifications for constructing water and sewer.
Buford, I've actually got those. I didn't have them when I turned in Laurel Brook, but I have them now. That's what I put in verandas for you when I sent that. So I got those from Andy upstairs, and I'll make sure to get those all in to Laurel Brook for you. That won't be a problem.
And the reason I mentioned, Justin, I didn't want to take for granted you had that, because I know you got your hands full too. So very good. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I didn't have it until I think Jason Langley just got it over to Andy, and they were updating some details for him. So I will pull all those from him. Won't be a problem.
All right. Very, very good. All right, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
okay, I'm going to unshare.
All right. Justin, we won't even discuss verandas. We haven't had a chance to review it. We'll look at that and get with you, since that kind of is a carryover. We've already been looking in different phases, so I think that's going to be an easy one. So we'll skip on to SD 21.01, and that is the consideration of Fred and Sandra Bostrom for a replat of Sibley Place, a 2-lot minor. Is Seth Moore on the call? Oh, I see your name, Seth.
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Thank you. Seth, relatively simple, but we've got two things before this one can go to the agenda, and I'm trying to share it while I'm doing this. So first, let's hit those two places, and you'll forgive us because this was one I inherited, and you might have already have these answers. The Lot 2 is undersized. It is a family exemption of the county subdivision regulations, but that doesn't negate their zoning code. It is zoned RSF 2 and 15,000 square foot lots. Has there been a variance granted for the lot by the county?
I was told that there was. Now, Mr. Bostrom is unfortunately out of town, out of country, I believe. And so it's kind of hard for me to get a hold of him, but I have sent him several emails to get that as soon as possible back to me,
okay,
so that I can give it to you all. But when they did that several years ago, it was granted, and he recorded the surveys, but didn't follow through with the family division and actually deed it out. So that's why we're having to come to this now.
Okay.
And it was approved back then.
Okay. And in our ETJ, they're all different, and this being zoned in the county, I don't want to create a lot that conflicts with their zoning code. So
I agree.
But and everybody, I want to make this statement for everybody. We have a short week, so we really need comments and all back by the on time this month, as complete as you can get them, because we have about 2 days to get staff reports for 16 cases with potentially only 2 of us. So, Seth, I'm gonna be a little more strict this month. If we don't have that or the fire flow, And I'll give you a date so you know when to work for. On the 17th, we'll need to carry this on over to February.
Okay.
And I'll give you a couple of other quick comments. Everything else was pretty simple, standard stuff. Let me find it. My notes here.
Hey, Hunter, and following up.
Yep.
Hunter, this is Emily. Following up on that, I think you made the announcement before the meeting really got started. Any waivers I have to have by close of business today.
Yep.
In order to advertise. So any waivers that anybody's requesting, if I don't have it by the close of business today, it will not be heard for a waiver in January.
Seth, let me pause real quick and we'll get back to Sibley Place. But
Sure.
Justin, I'm going to back up to you on verandas. Are you still here? I hope you didn't drop out. If not, we'll.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. That she brings up a good point. The verandas had a village subdivision, and the planning commission's okay with any waivers. But since we haven't had a chance to, after we get back this afternoon, I hope our office is open. We will probably all of us need to really focus on waivers today. See if there's anything that needs to be. It's based. I think planning commission is aware of what's coming. But for our advertisements, we need to hit that mark today. So, do you know of any that you may have
On verandas?
Yes, sir.
I believe the only ones were, I think we had two of them. One was the standard utility light pole is just a tad bit above what you guys require at 15 foot.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was a ditch bank side slopes. You require like 3-to-1s. We're actually giving you 4-to-1s.
Okay.
I don't foresee the county having any problem with that. We're actually making it look nicer.
Yeah.
So those are the only two I can pop out to me, I believe.
Hey, and Justin, this is Buford, and that last waiver request is not meant to be punitive at all. It's basically meant to allow the city to defer to the county's requirements.
Yeah, I understand. That's no problem.
Yeah, we just want to make sure we get it in today and not have to kick that another month just because we missed a waiver deadline. So we'll double check for you too. We can't do a full review, but we'll kind of look and see if there's any waiver requests and might get back with you today. Okay.
Okay, no problem. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Seth, and I appreciate your patience. Getting back to Sibley, here's kind of the comments. We don't have a hydrant listed on here, no fire flow test, and there may not be a hydrant, but just address that for us. Sidewalk, I know we got a sidewalk installation we want where there's no sidewalks in the area, but is it a waiver request and providing an easement? And I know that's weird because the easement would go right through an existing building, carriage garage, but we need to.
Let me say this about that easement.
Mm-hmm.
In that area, if you notice, if I'm not mistaken, that's 100-foot wide right of way.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't put a sidewalk within 100 feet, we got a problem.
What we don't know, and that's what you can tell us on that. I don't know the answer to this. Is Sibley Street a county? Where the easements were coming from is when it's a county road, and we can't. County saying we don't want to put sidewalks in that we have to maintain.
Right.
So if we needed the space in case the city ever wanted to put sidewalks, we can't put it in a county right of way, so we would do that.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
yeah, that's the nuance. That's why we're
okay.
And
I understand.
Maybe this is a city right of way, and we don't need that easement. And we can work on that answer too. But important enough today is we know you're not going to install sidewalks, and we're not going to push that one out. But so go ahead and get the waiver request today.
All right. Yes.
Okay.
No problem.
We already talked about the lot size. AT&T signature block on there. I know Riviera usually requires easements. Are they, and this is a Riviera supplied power, so do they not require easements in Montrose? Maybe because of historic Montrose?
Well, historic number one, but also they don't have a problem with what's there. I mean, they've already got a power box, if you notice, at the northeast corner of Lot 2, and they're already serving the other house. Everything they've got is out in the right of way and so forth. When I sent them a copy of this, they did not say they wanted anything new.
Okay. No
but
problem.
If there is, I will definitely put it on the drawing.
Okay. Just wanting to make sure because they're going to ultimately have to sign it, and if they hold it off, we just want to bring that up in case it needs to be fixed now. The finished floor elevation note should be 15 inches instead of 18, and just a letter from the engineer stating the standard traffic study is not warranted. And I think that was it. So the two things are the critical ones for us to keep it on, and then the other ones are just minor notes on the plat for the most part.
All right.
All right. Did you have any questions for us, Seth?
No, not really. I mean, trying to get a hold of Mr. Bostrom is the biggest question I have right now.
All right. Did anybody else, any other directors or departments have any comments? Okay. Seth, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. We'll move on to the next one, SD 21.02. That's Dove Run LLC for Buford. You got a preliminary approval for MOP.
And Hunter, if you can unshare your screen.
Yes, sir. Give me just a second here. Well, you should be able to take over. There it goes. Got it.
All right, let's see. Can everyone see my plans?
Yes.
Okay, all right, very good. Everyone went silent. I didn't know if I was muted or not. Let's see. Dove Run East is a mobile home facility on Highway 98, on US Highway 98, on the portion of 98 where it turns to the east. This is east of the convergence of US 98 and County 98 in the Barnwell community. This would be 22 spaces for mobile homes. And so Seth is the surveyor of record and David Schumer is the engineer of record. And gentlemen, I think most of my comments are of a fairly routine nature. I guess I have three concerns, and I'll just list them and then let you guys jump in and respond. I think first and foremost is that we have a boundary survey with a signature block on it signed by the Baldwin County Health Department regarding the septic system, because each of these spaces would have a septic system. However, their signature block specifically says this doesn't approve anything. So I'm a little concerned about whether the health department has or has not approved 22 septic tanks for this site. I think my second concern is, has ALDOT explicitly approved 3 turning movements within 550 feet that each have 20 plus units servicing them? And I think that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much it. And then I think the third thing, Jason Langley's with me, is none of the laterals were shown in the water supply. So each of those laterals will need to be shown, and that just wasn't shown at all. So those are my 3 main concerns. I'll turn it over to David and Seth to jump in here with discussion.
Yes, thank you, Buford. I do have in my hand the approval of all the spaces from the health department. I'm going to email you those copies. I don't know, email every one of the individual ones, but because it's like 100 pages, unless you want me to. But I'm going to send you at least, there's 22, about 35 pages that I am going to email you in just a minute that have all of the lots being approved and the building releases from the health department. So it has been approved for everything on the health department's end.
Okay, and Seth, thank you for that. And again, trying to look out after citizens and applicants is that the subdivision regulations are very explicit in terms of you have to have a 20,000 square foot lot for a septic system. This is an MOP. These are not lots of record, and so there's 22 of them on 9 acres. So just be prepared for that question when it comes from the Planning Commission.
Yes, sir. And again, it's just like the one on the other side, and they have not had any problems with the drain fields in 20 years now. So that is really good sandy soil out there, really good for septic tanks. And again, they have approved them. So anyway. All
right, very good. And then I guess my second question was about this would create, and I know the driveway culvert is in existence right now, so obviously it was permitted by ALDOT, but it's only serving one residence. Now it's about to get 21 more, and you're going to have 3 of them within about 550 feet or so. So is ALDOT okay with that? That's 3 turning movements with a lot of loading on it. We will get asked in Planning Commission, so I wanted to ask that question now.
Yeah, I mean, I've got an email from Michael Smith back in October saying that he is good with the current turnout. They may require their landscaping permit and an overlay, but otherwise, he sent me an email saying that because we coordinated with them early on, and he said he is good with the turnout. I sent him the full plan. Actually with the additional units before we added the additional open space, when it was, I think, 26 units. And he was good with it just because I think it was previously permitted and they're not going to deny a turnout that was previously permitted. He just said there may be some landscaping and an overlay to, get it up to as durable as it could be before, whenever they get a chance, I guess. I did have one question on the comments that you had, and if you could please send me that utility specifications, Buford, on the and I'll show the laterals or the connection service locations and everything that's needed. But our discharge, our pond is about 9 to 10 feet below the roadway, so there's absolutely no way that this site is going to discharge into the right-of-way ditch. I need to submit a waiver for that?
David, I think, and David, did you hear our previous discussion on a previous development with a kind of a similar situation?
I did, and I also heard Emily talk about any waivers need to be submitted today.
Absolutely, David. So here's where I'm going to land with that is that it's a situation where we need to be very explicit in what's in the drainage narrative, so that way when any of us are asked about this, we can defend why it works a certain way it works. Now, we know that there's probably some very coarse sandy soils down there that will drain very quickly, and we also know the topography actually looks to the northeast, so anything that comes out of the site should sheet flow to the northeast through an agricultural field. But I think the main thing here is just make certain your drainage narrative is very explicit that downstream adverse effects are not, there will not be downstream adverse effects, and no, it doesn't discharge into a public conveyance system, but it's going to sheet flow across an area that should absorb it. Those are the kind of things we need to make certain that we've got in our back pocket and in that drainage narrative if it's ever questioned, whether that be by the Planning Commission or a citizen or who knows.
Yeah, I mean, I can clear that. The way it's signed is the discharge is there, and we worked this in to match where we're not modifying or altering that discharge at all, and the calculations work out where our 100-year post-development storm for this one and the western development that's already there, because they were designed together back in 1999, and so the drainage calculations account for both developments, but our 100-year post-development discharge is 20% below the 2-year pre-development discharge. So we're, handling the water pretty heavily in the site, and with the infiltration area and the good sandy soils. I can explain it until you're comfortable, but I'm confident it'll be sufficient to what we need.
Yeah, David, that's great, and that's where that's beneficial to have all that in the drainage narrative. If it ever gets reviewed by somebody else one day, you can always point back to that we vetted it at this point.
Okay. Now, do you have any other? And I do. If it's possible for you to send me some of those forms I couldn't find, the O&M form and I think the maintenance guarantee form. I was trying to find those online and couldn't locate them.
Those are not published online. So David and Seth, what we're looking at here, and here's kind of my last comment, and we can move on. Because this is greater than 4 units, this is going, even though it's an MOP, it's greater than 4 units. So, and plus you're going to have infrastructure that you've got to install and then dedicate to the city. So the way this is going to work is the way the approval process will work is we don't call it a preliminary plat approval because you may not necessarily be recording a plat. We'll call it a preliminary approval. You'll build it like you would a normal subdivision type development, install all the infrastructure, then you'll come back with your as-built drawings, get approval for the Planning Commission for final approval, and then that's when you'll need to take the O&M plan and agreement for your stormwater, record it, give us a copy, and then the maintenance bond for the water system that's going to be dedicated to the city. That's when you'll give us that and the maintenance and guarantee agreement. But yes, David, so that way you'll have them for other projects. I'll get those forms to you in short order.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, those and the specifications for the water. So
yes. Yeah, we've got the latest version. And Emily, if you're still with us, David and Seth have already requested a waiver from putting internal sidewalks inside this facility, as well as a waiver request from doing internal street lighting inside this facility. A lot of MOPs are apartment complexes that accomplish that through the course of building. This one's a little different. So just for Emily's information, those are in our file in hard copy form. So we do have those waivers right now.
Okay, but you need the stormwater one as well.
David, I do not believe that rises to the level of a waiver. Okay. I think that if you beef up your drainage narrative like we talked about, then we'll have what we need for that one going forward.
Okay, that was one thing I just wanted to make clear on before we get off.
Yeah, David, I think a little bit more robust narrative about downstream adverse effects and all that stuff we talked about. Add that to the drainage narrative, and I think we'll be fine there.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, I am unshared.
All right, I believe next on our list is SD 21.03, Carmel Park Plat. It's an MOP as well. This is Mike Jeffries with the City of Fairhope. And I think we have Dave and David from SD Civil with us today. You guys here?
Yeah, this is Dave. I'm on.
All right, Dave, how are you today?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing good. All right, so I sent review comments out late yesterday afternoon, early evening. I believe you guys have those in front of you now. run over them real quick. The first item on the list was, with this being 2 lots in a previously recorded subdivision, we will have to do a replat, which can be done administratively. Really not any big deal on that. David, I know you have done several of those, but that will be one requirement that we'll need to have done before we can, before this can be built and buildings across property lines.
Sure.
The second item. Okay.
We're aware.
The second item deals with fire protection and fire code, and having 2 entrances with the density or the number of units in here. There's 242 units. I probably should let out with this. This is a 242 unit complex located on Twin Beach Road or County Road 44, across from Thompson Hall Road. The property is currently unzoned. It is in Fairhope ETJ and is under review for a multiple occupancy approval. So now that I've got that out, so the entrance off of 44 fire code with the number of units that are in here requires 2 entrances for fire protection. The fire protection is still kind of under review to make sure that we have everything exactly what fire code will require. It is looking like, at a cursory review that didn't make it into the cover letter, is that the access lane or the road that goes around the actual development will need to be a minimum of 26 foot wide to accommodate a fire truck and air apparatus. And the entrance for the fire trucks or for the fire access road have to be a minimum of 20. I'm currently working with Eric Cortinas to determine if the dual entrance or entrance exit that is separated by the median can qualify for 2 separate entrances. That way, if one of those is blocked, there still is an entrance for the fire truck to get into the actual development. If that is so, each of those would have to be 20 feet wide. I think currently they're showing at 16 feet, and the actual road inside is showing at 24 feet. So those widths would just need to be increased to match that. Once I verify the actual width, I will get back with you on that. And then a couple other notes. Is there any intent to dedicate any of those internal streets to Baldwin County?
No, those will all remain privately owned.
Okay. That's why I said I just wanted to verify that. Staff has contacted ALDOT with some concerns just for the traffic impact at County Road 44 and State Road 181. That response should be received, hopefully before the end of this, or by the beginning of next week is what staff is hoping. With the density of this, I understand that the traffic report said that there were no improvements needed. Staff is going to request that the study area be enlarged to include the intersections of County Road 13 and 44, the intersection of County Road 44 and US Highway 98, and the intersection of 44 and Booth Road. The numbers on the traffic study, Richard Johnson, were right on the verge of requiring some turn lanes, and we just want to be sure that all the proposed, all the current developments that are underway and all these intersections are taken into consideration. Be sure that we're not causing any undue congestion on the road, which leads into the next note. The new developments such as Twin Beach Estate, Live Oak Estate, Firethorn, and the new Dollar General that's at the corner of 44 and Booth Road. We just want to be sure that all those take into account besides the traffic. Again, on the traffic study, the city is actually considering lowering the speed limit on County Road 44 to 35. How will that affect the traffic impact study? Improvements on the intersections at 98 and 44, and there's the improvements at 44 and 13 that are going to be coming. Have those improvements taken under consideration. We just want to be sure that the data for the traffic study isn't outdated and is taken into all the current and proposed additions that are going to be happening around the area. Lastly, I attached a letter that staff had received from a group of citizens earlier, and we could just ask for a response to the points that they made in that letter to add that to your reply back. Only other items that I had that were on that cover letter, David, is that the landscape plan is still under review. One thing I did notice is there's several trees around where the proposed dog park is going to be, several heritage trees. Probably gonna need some landscaping around that dog park area to help mitigate some of those, the removal of some of those heritage trees. I understand that there's a drain pipe that is going through that area. I think that's probably the reason for the removal of the trees. The other trees, heritage trees being removed. Where the proposed buildings are going, which is understandable. But around that dog park area, that area. Is that if we could remove on the site plan title, it calls for it being a conceptual site plan. Simply just remove conceptual from that. Want to be sure that, you know, these dog parks and these walking areas and these trails are actually going to be incorporated, that they're just not thoughts that are being used as a pretty picture and then when time to be built ends up not coming to fruition. You did send me, I'll share with everybody, the detailed, or not detailed, but the color graphic for everybody to see. We received this morning for everybody to kind of see what 3D rendering looks like of the project. And I will turn it over to you, Dave or David, if you have any comments to address or any questions for staff. Anybody?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, John.
Yes, this is John Avent. How you doing?
I'm great.
One thing that, one of your comments I don't understand is the 26-foot wide ingress egress for fire trucks. If that's a requirement, then nothing in a subdivision nor anywhere else would comply. Even the regulations would apply to the fire what you require for fire regulations.
And I don't know if Eric is on this call, if he's able to make it or not, but to answer your question the best I can, John, is that part of the fire code is for multi-family units. It's not for single-family residential. That's a typical subdivision. When the number of units gets, I think it's 200 and above, then that, or maybe it's 100. Like I said, I'm not in tune with what the fire code is. I'm relaying information, and I've gotten from Eric Cortinas. I said we're still, but it's for multi-family dwelling units. So this is coming in from.
Okay. We know that for a fact then.
John, this is Hunter. We don't know that for a fact. The addendums in the International Fire Code is what's looked at, and there's a lot of options there. Right. To attention is you know, if there is a solution for you, then y'all can note the. I can't. Oh, hold on. And Eric, I'm sorry. Eric just popped in my office. He's trying to speak and he's unmuted, so he's coming back in and going to help us describe this. So, but there's some. I think it's addendum B and E, and there's options there. But that's what we're calling attention to, and then y'all can address it.
Right. I just want to make sure that If this is a requirement, that it's actually a requirement, and I just got to look at that because I've probably done hundreds of multifamily developments, and unless it's just a recent requirement, I never heard that. So that's the reason I'm questioning.
Yeah, a lot of historic I've seen in Baldwin County relied on ISO, but the city of Fairhope has, adopted the International Fire Code.
Right.
That's where it's coming from, not the ISO requirements that was done here quite a bit.
Right.
I'm gonna give Eric.
Check that.
Let me give Eric a minute because I know there he goes. He's coming in. Eric, do we have audio for you? Emily, since you're controlling the meeting, see if you can go to Eric's name on the list and unmute him. I can't.
Okay, I'll try.
You guys hear me now?
Yes, there you are.
Okay, all right. Hey, guys, this is Eric. Hey, John, I heard your comments earlier, and the 26-foot width comes into play if you've got a building that is 30 feet or greater above grade, because that is going to require aerial equipment. So the code talks about the width of the driveway to be able to accommodate an aerial ladder truck and the outriggers. So it wouldn't necessarily apply in a subdivision because you don't necessarily have houses that tall. I don't know how tall these buildings are. So if we're greater than 30 feet from grade to the eave height, then the drive aisles need to be 26 feet wide for an aerial ladder and its outriggers.
So it's to the eave height, not the
Correct.
ridge.
Not the ridge, anything to the eave. And I think, and I was coming back in, I had to call back in. I think
Yes.
I emailed something to Mike, the section out of the fire code appendix that talks about those fire access roads. And it talks about a fire access road, and it also talks about an aerial fire access road, and it's two different things.
All right.
So it's because of the height of the building that requires
Yeah,
the extended width on the driveway.
My gut feeling this will be fine, but we'll check it.
Okay.
I just needed more clarification on that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I was muted on the phone and I couldn't get myself undone, so I had to call back in.
No, that's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
you pretty clear with it. Thank you.
You got it.
And John and David, there was a note here I wanted to make sure y'all knew about. On the traffic study, some of the things the planning department can require, and some of the things are planning commission. The one where we asked for new data and basically your traffic study window and time of study, only the planning commission can require that. We put that in there to give you time to do that because we will ask them to require that. But if y'all can go ahead and be working on it, it'll save some time to do that. That's why that's look at our subregs. Only the planning themselves has the opportunity to change that.
It's pretty detailed. We try to do it, but I get up with the traffic commissioner.
Yeah, this is David. I think some of those items have been covered.
Okay.
Like I know 13, I think she calls it Oberg Road. But yeah, we'll look at all that. She couldn't be on the call this morning with the short notice, but and then as far as
she is, I don't know if she's muted or not, but I think she actually is on the call.
oh, is she?
Yes. Do have a Samantha logged in?
Oh, okay.
And you don't have to respond to it. We'll be happy to take a response, and give you time to actually address that. You didn't get this till late last night or after hours last night. So be happy to take the response as you have an opportunity to compile an answer. Okay.
Other than that, I think most of these comments had to do with the traffic study. And as far as the width of the drive lane, I think we can accommodate that one way or another.
Okay. Yeah.
Then regarding the letter from the Richard Johnson, the other Richard Johnson, just looking over it, a lot of it is just regarding their opinion on, you know, unqualified opinion on things like property values and drainage and stuff like that. But yeah, we can address those.
And just to let you know about that, David, usually we don't get those letters until like the week of the meeting. We had a freedom of information request as soon as this was filed. The group sent that, and then they actually replied to this yesterday, so we included it. A lot of times you don't get a chance to address these concerns until you're at the meeting, so this gives you a chance to address them, and it's in, you know, record, and the planning commission will see that in their packet. So that's why we want to get in front of you.
Okay, yeah, appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Mike Jeffries, I muted you. I thought you might have been the one that was echoing, but so if you need anything,
Not me.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on Carmel Flats?
This is Dave, real quick. We kind of had some background noise. I heard something about some landscaping requirements that might be added to this. Can you
Well, and I think the message there was we didn't get into the landscape review trying to get y'all something, so we'll do a little better job of that because the tree ordinance applies, some parts of it apply to the unzoned and some apply just in the corporate limits. So if you'll give us a little bit more time on that, we'll actually get some valid comments on the landscape.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other comments? All right. Buford, do you need to discuss SD 1.04 River Place final plat?
And Chris Lieb, are you aboard with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Hey, Chris. So, Chris, and for everyone else's benefit, really nothing to discuss, Chris. I think I gave you all the details when we talked yesterday. Yes, and Chris, I apologize. It's a bit of a struggle for Hunter and me right now, but you will get what you need forthcoming. You'll get what you need forthcoming. What I'll tell you, Chris, is that this one being relatively straightforward, if I do find something, it's probably not something we can't handle with a condition of approval, because there is that lag time between the Planning Commission approval, the time it takes to record the plat and record the O&M plan and agreement, and then bring all that back and then go to council to accept the dedication of the utilities. So we have a little bit of time to work with, and I'll get you a full package in the coming days.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
I do have, this is Mike, I do have one comment. I talked with Curtis Cooper a couple of weeks ago right after we got the submittal, and he was saying, I don't remember the lot numbers off the top of my head, Chris, but I think it was lot 14 and 23. On the as-built, there was not a water line or a water meter shown for those two lots. So I don't know if those were inadvertently left off, or I just want to make sure that those are in the ground before we go through. I know that was one comment that Curtis had as far as utilities go.
I'll check on it and get back with you.
I'll verify what lot numbers those were and where they were, and I'll send you an email for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other comments from other departments? Okay. Any other questions from the applicant? And we'll move forward. The next ones are really easy. The zoning amendment actually addresses the next zoning change case, and I don't believe anyone's here. I'll give them a chance to speak when we get to it, but it's adding a potential district for the in-between villages on highways. it is, some might bring up an overlay that was talked about for months before. It is not an overlay. If it does get passed and adopted through city council, it will not affect a single person. It is only there in case someone wants to ask for it themselves, a landowner ask for it themselves. So we're working through that, have a work session scheduled on the 17th to discuss, on December 17th at 3 p.m. So that one's there. Is anyone here for CZ 20.05? I don't think you will be, but I want to make sure. That's a carryover from November's meeting, and it's we'll probably might move that to old business. So one last very minor thing, Buford, I'm gonna go ahead and hit this. SD 21.05. That's a small amendment to the subdivision regulations that just gives some details on what the wetland signs look like. We had a situation where a minor subdivision, they were required to put in wetland signs, and we kind of looked at what a lot of the bigger projects do, and that was the only graphics we could share with them. So we basically, the intent there is just giving them a better option that doesn't cost quite as much, when it's just a minor subdivision. So that is all we have. We do have, just to touch on it, there's on old business, SD 20.47 for Fairhope Falls Village subdivision. There is a minor change requested, and staff supports that Planning Commission will have to amend a condition of approval. We have no problems with that. So, but if y'all have any questions on it, I'll be happy to answer. All right. Well, all right. One last time. Any concerns, any questions about anything on the agenda or our status right now?
Everyone that will, please pray for Hunter and Emily and me right now that we don't get sick.
Well, yeah, I didn't. Yep. But thank y'all. Appreciate your time on this. This helps move these along, and I know it's inconvenient sometimes. But again, thanks, and have a great day.
All right. We walked to the door together and said bye, everybody. I got